Max McGee, anchor, reporter. I do news and sports for WJZ TV, the CBS owned and operated station in Baltimore, Maryland. Right now I do morning anchoring with the news Monday through Friday. Sometimes I'll do the weekend newscast, 6 p.m. and 11 p.m., basically wherever they need me. From Cherry Hill, New Jersey, went to Temple University in North Philadelphia. After that, I got my first shot on air as a reporter and producer at KPLC TV in Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's the NBC affiliate. It's the only television station in Southwest Louisiana. I was there for about 11 months before I moved to their sister station, which was formerly known as the Raycom Television Network. Now it's Gray TV in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, WMBF News. I was a news reporter, news anchor, and weekend producer. So I did my own show and did my own thing, and I was the lone person in the sports department. And I used that challenge to get me here to Baltimore. So that's where I am talking to you, Colby.
All right.
I finally got that one hit on my LinkedIn, and they said, "Would you like to come to Lake Charles?" And I said, "Where's Lake Charles?" Thankfully, I went down there. It was the best move of my life. I remember, you hear the horror stories about first-year reporter salaries before you get into the business, and you don't want to think about it, or you think to yourself, nah, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be making way more money than that. But when Eric Tiger, who was the assistant news director at the time, he was negotiating the contract with me, and I was thinking, man, do I need an agent? This is going to be big money. I'm going to be making $1 million. I'm going to be on TV, on NBC. No. So he said, okay, it's $29,120 first year. And then year two, it was $30,576. You never forget the dollar amount that you first signed your contract on. But it equated to $14 an hour first year, and then $14.70 year two. And I remember telling my parents, because at that time I applied to maybe 300 stations around the country, and this was like a full-time job just to search for a new job. And I told them that I was interested in going to Louisiana, this small town that was the 174th largest market in the country at the time. It's 172 now. And I said what I was going to be making, and they looked at me and they said, "Are you sure you're going to move 1,400 miles across the country for a job that pays $14 an hour?" And I said, "Yep." So I used all my steakhouse money to use as my moving expenses. They gave me $1,000 for moving expenses, KPLC did, which is basically, you might as well just get $10. That's really nothing to move across the country. And I packed everything I had up, set my car on a truck, and I took 2 planes from Philly to Dallas to Lake Charles, and I cried like a baby the entire way. But that was the money you made. I know people who made less than that when they go to places like Amarillo, Texas, and they get $19,000 a year. Yeah, it's mind blowing. You think, how does that even work? But it gets better. It gets better. It's if you are willing to take a chance on yourself and bet on yourself, then the money is going to come. You're not going to be making $30,000 a year for your entire career. You kind of just suck it up for that 1 year or 2 years, and then hopefully you make it big and be able to buy more than ramen noodles for a day.
What do you think is the best part of the job, and what do you think is the worst part of the job?
The best part of the job is, I'd say, the amount of resources that you have in order to do a good job. Here in Baltimore, we don't MMJ here. In a lot of places, you will MMJ in your first market or even your second or third market. But I'm lucky enough to not have to MMJ and I have a photographer, so you're able to have a second set of eyes look at your work and a second set of eyes to kind of help you with the writing process and enable you to put a good product on the air. And I'd say the second best part of the job is just being able to tell people stories, because you are the pillar of your community, no matter where you are, whether you're MMJing or not. You're going to be able to tell these people stories, and these people look to you in order to tell that story. They trust you when they bring you into their homes. They trust you in order to tell that story the correct way, and then you run with it after that. But the worst part of the job, oh man, the worst part of the job is probably trying to convince people that you are not the bad guy. We're living in a day and age where there's a lot of fake news, and our president, no matter if you vote for him or not, you still hear him say, "Oh, the media is fake news," and then that has trickled down to, throughout the country, where people don't trust the media, and they have different networks who lean right and lean left, and then you have to convince people that you are not a part of that. You are a neutral journalist, and you are one of the good guys. You tell your stories, but that's by far the toughest and worst part of the job.
What traits do you think make for a good TV reporter / anchor?
Oh man, I would say the ability to remain calm at all times. I mean, excuse me. You hear a lot of this analogy, and even on sports networks, the calm, cool, collected, the Joe Cool, the ability to not be rattled no matter what. There is always something happening in the community, and breaking news happens every day. And I feel like if you are calm enough to handle a live shot on television in a crowd behind you, with a producer in your ear giving you time cues, and be able to regulate your heartbeat and just figure out what you have to say and focus on your job, that's the number one thing. Because even if there's chaos behind you in a live shot, or if there's some type of developing story that might cause people to panic at home, and they look to you and you don't flinch, I think that's the most important part of being a news reporter, because the people at home don't want to see you flinch. They just want to see you give them the news, and that's it. In a timely fashion, minute 30, get off the air, go on to the next story. I think that's the most important part. Really like working with a photographer. That's the number one thing, not only for collaborative purposes, but for safety as well. You're able to have each other's back. But being an MMJ is probably the toughest thing to do in the business, but besides being a news director, probably, or a general manager. You are responsible for your own stories, your own story ideas that you pitch in the editorial meetings. Then you go out and make those calls. And if somebody doesn't call you back, then you have to come up with your backup idea. And then you have to do MOS, aka man on the street, if you need some type of sound in your package. Shoot the package. Make sure you don't have any jump cuts when you edit and everything, and then put it together in a timely fashion. And you probably have about an hour 45 to 2 hours, if you're lucky, to put it all together and then present it for the 5 p.m. news if you're the lead. And then what happens if there's breaking news at 4:38 and you're already having that package ready to go on the air? Nope, you got to go to that breaking news story. Go up to the PIO for the police department, if there is one, and be able to go live with limited information all by yourself, just you and your camera. That I still have nightmares of MMJing, and I did it for 2.5 years. But eventually you find your groove in what you're supposed to be doing with yourself. You get all the interviews, backup plans, just in case something falls apart. But compared to working with the videographer, I'm very fortunate with WJZ to not have to edit right now. When you first start out, yeah, it's daunting, but there's a reason why there's hundreds of porters every year who want to break in the business because they want that challenge, and they ask a bunch of people, is it really that bad? Is it really a nightmare? No, it's not a nightmare. It only is a nightmare at first because you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
It's just like a freshman going into a big school like Syracuse, and you're walking around like, where's my classroom? There's 30,000 kids here. I don't know what's going on. You're going to be okay.
Question. Tips on how to be successful and best advice for this profession.
How to be successful. I feel like in order to be successful in this business, well, it depends on how you feel, how you view success. Like if you want to make a ton of money, if you want to be super famous in the industry, if you want to just be able to be the best lead reporter at your station, a lot of people have different views of success. But no matter what, I feel like you have to be obsessed with your craft and be good at everything. I don't feel like many people are great. I feel like a lot of people are good, and we're all just trying to chase greatness. But most of the people who have the most success are good at a little bit of everything. And it starts with your demeanor on the air, your energy, your delivery, things that you can control. And then be able to put a story together. I feel like if you have those things down, you can get everything else eventually. The money's going to come, the popularity's going to come, but if you can control what you can control and how you present yourself on the air, and then how you tell a great story, no matter what kind of story it is, you're going to be fine. For the tips on how to just break in this business, be used to hearing the word no. You're going to hear the word no. I don't care how much success you had at Syracuse, which is a fantastic school. You guys are off to a start that not many people have the privilege of getting. You guys have a leg up on the competition for sure. There's so many Syracuse grads at WJZ in Baltimore, but be used to hearing the word no, and you just got to want it. That's it. There's always some type of problem. And it doesn't matter what market you're in. I'm watching on ESPN right now. There's always some type of problem, whether something goes down, whether a camera shot or a teleprompter goes down, or be prepared for problems. No, everything may look perfect. Be prepared for something to happen at all times, especially if you are anchoring the news in a low market city like you probably will one day. Be prepared for the teleprompter to go down. Have your notes ready to go. Be prepared for someone to bomb your live shot by saying something stupid. Have something in the back of your head, a go-to line to say, to get that guy out of here and get yourself to safety. And then probably just watch the people who've done it already. I'm in Baltimore. I'm in a big city, but I still watch, the big time anchors in the big cities like Philly and LA and New York, just to see how they handle problems, and just be ready for them. That's the only way you can be ready for problems. That's it, because there's always going to be something.